Okay. Hey, thanks everybody for taking a minute of your time in your day to take a look at this. This is what we call a case study. Every once in a while, when we have a client that we do some work for, we really hit it out of the park. We kind of bring it all around. We tell the story, and that's what we're doing here. I've got my friend Ryan Marshall. He's joining us. I've worked with Ryan for a couple of years, and we've had a great working relationship. We've accomplished a lot of things on a lot of levels. And we're doing some recruiting for him. We've worked on recruiting for a while, about 6 months now. And I just kind of wanted to bring him here and just kind of record this conversation about where he was and what we've done for him, and see if, because I think a lot of people seeing this or listening to this in the pest control industry are going to be able to relate and having some of the same problems. So anyway, I'm going to let Ryan talk a little bit about himself and his company and kind of where he's come from. Give us sort of a beginning to present day picture of your business. Ryan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, cool. Thank you, Rob. I'll condense all the ups and downs of being a business owner in just like a 30-second blurb here. But
yeah.
I started my pest control company back in 2012, and it was just me. I was the salesperson, the technician, the office person. Since we've grown it, and we have 3 locations now, and one in Dallas, Texas, and then one in Charleston, South Carolina, one in Greenville, South Carolina. So present day, we've got 55 employees, and that covers like our technicians and office staff.
Right.
So yeah, grown a lot over the years, really enjoyed it, added, lots of different services, and really kind of put together a really good team, support wise that we have. But yeah, that's where we're at.
Cool. Thanks. And you guys started in Utah, correct?
Yeah, we started in Utah and ended up selling that branch. And since we focused on those branches down south.
Got it.
Because there's more termites down there and more bugs, it seems like year round. So
right on. And you're right. I do think I've been a part of a few pest control startups, and yeah, definitely the South or the southern tier of the United States is definitely the hotbed to get started. Well, great. And you have a very successful program going on right now. And I commend you for that. Congratulations. Thanks. For being where you're at. That's cool. And I know it gets a little big because we've had this conversation, but how did you and I come to start working together? And I know it's been a couple of years. It's been on a couple of different kind of levels that we've connected. But what do you remember about how we came to work together?
I don't remember how we got connected, but it was about 3 years ago. And you guys were doing the Facebook ads for us. So we were looking to do a little bit more marketing and kind of venture more into the digital marketing. And what was kind of unique about what you guys had is, most of the digital marketing we had done, it was like somebody searches for pest control and then a Google ad pops up. With you guys, we were more just kind of the awareness and trying to get people off of Facebook that maybe weren't necessarily thinking about pest control, right, which was kind of unique for us. And having had good success with that, we've kind of stuck with you guys and liked what you guys have been able to do for us.
That's awesome. And it's been great to work with you guys. Thank you for all of it, over the years. And right, sometimes people just need to see our brand or our message in a different place and that it resonates and they can relate to it. So that's cool. So what's going on in your business? And I know we can probably rewind. We've seen the current situation that most small businesses are in. We could probably rewind back about 2 years to see big changes happening in the economy and in the marketplace. But here we are. And I think a lot of people are going to be in the same situation you are in, but I'm going to let you tell kind of how we've arrived at this recruiting position that we're in right now.
Okay. And I'll say this, like, just the last couple of years have definitely been a challenge just from hiring and retaining good staff.
Yeah.
But I will say, I think that goes back a little bit more, even over the years. as far as, as we kind of grew some of those growing pains, it was always, finding really good technicians, really good team players, really good building blocks. And so this has actually been a challenge, I think, since we've kind of started business, is finding the right people to rely on. And I know that we always hired out of desperation. It was almost like,
right.
And this is even before everything over the last couple of years. It was almost like, hey, somebody quit and we got to hurry and find somebody, and let's hurry and go through a bunch of resumes. Let's hurry and post something. We got to get somebody hired by Friday. And so we were always kind of lagging on our hiring. We would wait until we needed somebody. And so we would end up hiring, 3s and 4s instead of 8, 9s and 10s kind of thing. Just caliber of employees. And that kind of got exacerbated over the last couple of years with all the stuff that's gone on, because there were a lot of people that didn't want to work, or a lot of people that are jumping ship, and, salaries are changing and wages and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
We relied really heavily on Indeed and posting ads on there, and then maybe doing a little recruiting of our own, where you could find resumes and reach out to people. But it seems like Indeed has significantly increased their prices over the last little bit. And we just really weren't getting the same kind of feedback that we were really used to, I guess, in the past. And so that's why I loved when you guys kind of mentioned this idea. I knew that it had worked for us to go after customers who weren't necessarily thinking about pest control. And I'm like, well, maybe they know how to go after people that aren't necessarily thinking about working for a pest control company, but we can kind of bring it up to them. So, I mean, yeah, we've loved it so far, and really liked what you guys have been able to do for us.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah. And that is kind of cool, because we're fishing in an area where there's not a lot of fishermen, to use that analogy.
Yeah.
And we're fishing also for guys that are not lurking on job boards. We're fishing for people that might be very satisfied in their career, and they're probably very qualified, very good at their job, but maybe they hadn't considered some other options. And we're able to get motivated and interested people, to get in for the interviews and go through the process. So it's been great. The other thing is, so right now I'm talking to pest control owners almost daily, and I'm hearing their stories. And one in particular that we just signed on yesterday, he said almost the same thing. He said, I've got some guys that work for me, but they're not motivated. They don't have a long-term vision. They don't have the vision of the company in mind. He goes, so I need to fill some slots. He needs to fill some trucks that are sitting idle, but he's also thinking that he might just want to replace the guys that are in his staff, because they're 2s and 3s and 4s and not 8, 9s and 10s. And really, in today's business environment, we need 8, 9s and 10s working for us. We need
sure.
grand slams and not so many base hits. Cool.
Hey, one thing I wanted to, and you kind of threw the analogy out of fishing where there's not a lot of fishermen. And I guess I hadn't really thought of this until this, but like a lot of the people that we had recruited off of off of Indeed.
Yeah.
I think a lot of those, we recruit them, but they're very active in updating their resumes. And so they're almost still targets to be recruited. So we can invest a lot of time and energy into these people. And, obviously there's a part that we got to take care of them and make sure they're happy, but they're still getting reached out to. And so just food for thought. I mean, I do like how you guys kind of differentiate, and a lot of the guys we've hired, I don't know how many of them are on Indeed or not, but I would assume that most of them probably aren't. Right. And once you recruit them over, there might be a little bit more longevity there, because they're not always getting hit up by other companies or looking at other offers. It's just, this kind of comes along and they're happy with it. And they're going to stick with it. So
that's awesome.
That thought.
No, that's a cool thought. And that's awesome. I think it does apply. The guys that we get, by time they get to your desk, they are interested and motivated, but by and large, they are exclusive leads to you guys. They are not on Indeed. They haven't reached out to 20 companies, and they don't have 20 other companies reaching out to them. Mm-hmm. So they're able to just sort of focus on the opportunity that you guys are presenting to them. And that's sure. that's how the system works. And that's why I think it's awesome. So we've talked a little bit about Indeed, and some of the challenges there. And they're obviously the big dog in the big elephant in the room, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's where most people are doing some recruiting. That's where most field service technicians in any industry are spending their time and energy there looking for jobs.
Mm-hmm.
But that there's been some challenges as of late. Almost everyone I talk to is frustrated with we'll just call it the recruiting software platforms. We don't need to mention everybody's names, but what was probably I know you told me one time how much you spent in 1 month and the result was tough, but just kind of talk about some of the frustration that you have experienced working in some of those platforms.
Yeah. I mean, initially it seemed really good. And I think we really looked at the cost as, we're spending on ad spend, we're spending to reach out to people. Probably one of the bigger costs that I didn't really factor in at the time was, we were paying somebody to go through a lot of resumes and to reach out to people. And that was probably much, a lot more, I'd say, than what we were actually spending on ad spend. So with that being said, I mean, that was kind of the frustration is all in. We were spending a lot and a lot of time and energy just having people in for interviews, first interviews that would show up, and there's no way we would hire these people, but we had to block out, 30 minutes to get them in there, have somebody interview them, have somebody reach out to them, all that kind of stuff. So it's an expensive process to recruit and to find good quality candidates and get them in the door. Yeah.
And it is. And that's something all of us are watching right now is sort of some expenses related to that. And the result just needs to be there. I've talked to some people that have spent north of $2,500 a month and maybe have one or two interested candidates, not to mention nobody really qualified and really that's a great fit on some of those recruiting software platforms. So yeah, this is something different. And I'm excited because we see results on the daily. Not just for you, but when we're doing this, we see every day there's a new lead or two or three, and there's a new application filled out. There's a new video interview. So, this process is exciting. So let's talk about us for just a minute. What has my company done and my team implemented for you that's made it easier or more efficient, more effective?
Yeah. Well, I think you guys have taken a lot of the legwork out of it for us. I mean, as far as we put the videos together and kind of gave you some content that you guys, kind of finalized and everything that you're running on the ads. But outside of that, that kind of initial startup, I mean, those are things that can be used for a long time, right? They're ongoing. Whereas before it was like one phone call after another that we had to handle. And so now, I mean, I love it when we get the text and say, hey, somebody just applied to the Charleston branch. And then after that, they go through the video series and they're asking questions and they're recording themselves. I mean, we literally, we can spend, just a couple minutes per candidate, seeing if they're a good fit or not, and not having to block out time interviewing them and doing phone interviews and getting them in the door. I mean, the way you guys have set it up, you've basically streamlined it. And I mean, it's a small part of our day to just glance at the candidates and see who we actually want to have come in for an interview. Whereas we were just pilfering through those, right? Like looking for a diamond in the rough, just spending a ton of time, every day, it seemed like trying to find those good candidates to bring them in.
That's great. And that's right. That's what our goal is to do the heavy lifting, take a lot of this legwork, as you put it, out of your day-to-day grind or take things off your plate. Because what we end up trying to do as business owners, right, when we have to recruit, and especially if we have to recruit 2 or 3 or 4 or even more guys, we try and give it a part-time job effort. And that takes more time than we actually have. But really what it needs is a full-time effort. And if you hire someone and dedicate them to that can be costly and maybe it's effective and maybe not, or it just sucks your time away. So that's that's great that we've been able to help with that. And I want to emphasize the video that you mentioned. That screening, you can learn almost in what you would learn in an entire 30-minute interview in 2 or 3 minutes, and decide if that's a fit or not a fit, and move on. And we let them know, sorry, at this time you're not a fit. And so it's kind of cut and dry, and nobody's calling you guys after the fact, 3 days later, hey, I haven't heard anything. Everybody knows where we're at, and moving the quality candidates through. That's
for sure. And that's probably been one of my favorite things is the video interviews, just because I've looked at really good resumes, and you get people in that just, for whatever reason, you're just like, that you can tell they're not great at communicating or kind of put their responses. And then you get other people that, you're like, man, this person looks really sharp. Like, they're really with it. You can tell they want this job. They're taking these videos seriously. That's a big thing to me, is some people, it's just like, you can tell they don't really take the video seriously. And they kind of have this relaxed attitude with that, which that's probably how they're going to take the job as well.
Exactly. Exactly. We want somebody who's, focused or driven.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. All right, cool. Cool. So, and you've actually talked about some of the results, because we have got guys that are going to work and working out and working through the system and in training right now. So that's awesome. And I've talked to your hiring manager, and he's pretty stoked about the process and how it's working. So cool.
Sure.
So I know this next question is kind of abstract, but how has this made it easier? That's a loaded question. Tell us how our process has impacted your day-to-day activities as a business owner. I assume it's freed up a lot of your time, but it's probably impacted your life as a business owner and made even your personal life.
Yeah. Well, I think for us, it's been very easy to put this on autopilot.
Great.
And I talked earlier about how, early on, we always hired out of desperation. Hey, we need a guy, somebody quit, somebody, whatever, like, we need somebody. With this, I like that we just kind of constantly, even if we don't need somebody right now, like we still like getting the candidates, because we've kind of shifted to the mindset that we're not going to hire when we need somebody. When we find some all-stars, we're going to find work for them, and we'll make sure that there's a place for them on the team. And so now we've really switched to, hey, you know what, we might be a little overstaffed for a couple of weeks, but that's okay. And just knowing that that's going on, and it even seemed like, we had people that we had told them, yeah, that's kind of what we want you to be doing. But it always seemed like they kind of let off the gas when they knew that, hey, we have everybody.
Right.
And I was never a fan of that, because then it's only a week away, or, when you have that many employees, right, you're a couple of weeks away from, it's just inevitable, but like some of the turnover. And so I like that we're kind of always filling the pipeline with good candidates. And it puts us in a place where we're not hiring out of desperation, but we're now hiring out of like, wow, this person looks really sharp. We really want you on our team. And it's more strategic moves.
No, that is perfect. And thank you. You kind of really hit on something that's pretty cool. We're creating a pipeline of candidates here to draw from. Someone might not be a good fit this week or next week, and maybe they can't jump ship from where they're at right now, but in 2 or 3 weeks, when you need someone and we reach out to them, and it might be the right time. Now we have a pipeline, and we're not just scrambling. So I think that's, I appreciate you saying that, because that's one of the things that I like about what we're doing.
Sure.
So again, I can't thank you enough for doing this and coming on here and just kind of telling the story. Just to kind of wrap it up, what would you say to someone that was thinking about using our service or, signing on with us?
I think it's definitely a good strategic growth move. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things, to where, like, if you're good at doing pest control or good at running a business like that, and maybe hiring isn't your specialty, and you find yourself getting bogged down or not really spending the time and attention and energy that you should on it, it's really nice to just be able to have you guys handle that. And if you're good at pest control, go focus on pest control, go focus on the people you have, and then cherry pick the good candidates that come through. And I've always been a big fan. And that's one thing that as I've grown this business, I've learned that I need to find people that do things better than me and have those be kind of some of the building blocks. And I was never great at staying on top of searching resumes when I didn't feel like we were understaffed, right? I always did it out of this franticness. So that's what I would say is as a business owner, if you want to focus on really growing your business, you've got to bring in people that are going to be better at you and focused more than you are on certain aspects. And I think this is a great, alternative than trying to call people back and they won't answer their phone. And then you got to text them to get them in for an interview, because that's kind of how this generation is. And then you got to take off work out of the field to come back and interview them, where so much of that can just be like, you know what? Nope. These aren't good candidates. Oh, look, here's a good one. I'll block out 30 minutes of my day to sit down with this person. So it's kind of the ability to just focus on what you're good at and let you guys focus on what you're good at and really support us in growing our business.
That's so cool. Thanks. We try and call it inbound recruiting, right? What you described is we have to go out and round up these guys and try and get them to come in and take a look at what we can offer. And in this case, we call it inbound because it's people that are interested, expressing interest and kind of they've already got some directional motivation in there. So that's cool too. So thanks again. Now, I'm not gonna hound you or bog you down, because I know you're busy. But if someone needed to talk with you personally before they would commit with us, would that be all right if I just said, hey, here's a guy that has had a great experience with us, he can talk with you, maybe just take 3 minutes?
Yeah, for sure. Why don't you just put them through have them submit recruiting videos, that you guys do. And no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, they're more than welcome to reach out. For sure. I mean, I'm always looking to connect with other pest control business owners. And I'm not of the mindset that it's like, we're big time competitors or anything like that. I think that the more information that goes around, the better. So yeah, absolutely.
Right on. Cool. Thanks for that. So, Hey, we're about done, everybody. Thanks to Ryan Marshall with Vinx Pest Control for coming on and doing this. We do have other clients that we also are having really good success stories with, and we'll be bringing them in. We'll do a case study interview with them as we go forward. But for right now, we'd love to work with anyone in the pest control industry. We do make it easier on you, and we do have a unique approach. So cool. I look forward to hearing back from anyone else out there. And Ryan, we'll be talking soon. So thanks, man.
Okay. Thank you, Rob. Take care.
All right. You too.